The Sim Pit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The Sim Pit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for The Sim Pit.
This season marks a new beginning. Witness the raw power, iconic sound, and pure speed from the historic Lotus 79. Experience the competition and glory days of early 80s open-wheel action. Watch as drivers wrestle these ground effects cars into submission. Drivers will face off wheel to wheel. For some, it's a chance at redemption. For others, an opportunity to make a statement. All sharing the same goal, to be crowned champion. Who will be victorious tonight? The Lionheart Retro Series presented by Butt Kicker starts now.
This is the original eSport racing game. This is iRacing.
You knew Kentucky would be exciting. It always is. The GSRC Big Joe Spectacular proved to be just that, with, fittingly, Big Joe Hassert coming away with that win. But from the pack racing at Kentucky to a road course many iRacing drivers have cut their teeth on. No pack racing tonight, as we're going to go left and right. Tonight, watch all of the simulated Dallara IR18 action of the Grand Prix of Monterey presented by Graphics. And we'll be live right here as it happens on the iRacing Esports Network. Welcome to another GSRC broadcast and the Sim Experience Countdown to Green. Over the next 15 minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, stats, and facts you'll need to appreciate the Grand Prix of Monterey presented by Graphics that will immediately follow as we count down to green. I'm Adam Young, and as usual, we've got Richie Hearn joining us here tonight. Behind the scenes, Sean Ambrose is in the director's chair, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. And once again, welcome to WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna, Seca, home of the corkscrew. That famous set of turns combined with a crazy elevation change is known throughout the world. Let's learn a little bit more about Laguna Seca with tonight's GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2¼ miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come.
Richie, Laguna Seca is a little closer to you than Kentucky, at least in geographic area. I also know that you ran here a few times during your kart days. What kind of insight can you give us about Laguna Seca, as well as maybe some of the stats in this facility?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Yep, I've been here many times in IndyCar and in the Toyota Atlantic Series. It is somewhat of a home track for me, coming from California myself, but it's an awesome track to race on in the IndyCar. It's very fast, but it is very tough to pass. It's only 2.25 miles long, only 11 turns. Do have a couple spots we can pass at in turn 1, and possibly up to the corkscrew if you want to do it Zanardi style, and down into turn 11. The problem is here is that it's so fast, and there's not really a long straightaway to get any kind of draft. So any kind of passing we're going to see today is going to be someone just kind of manhandling themselves right by somebody's. But it should be exciting. It is in a beautiful part of the country, and real excited to see what we have in store with these Lionheart drivers today. This countdown to green is brought to you by Sim Experience, the team behind the AccuForce Pro V2 direct drive steering systems. By providing unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market, the AccuForce provides a significant advantage to any sim racer. It can also make for an effective training tool for real-world drivers. For more information on the entire Sim Experience ecosystem, including their GS5 seat, Stage Series motion systems, and SimVibe software, visit simexperience.com and use that promo code SimXLion to get 5% off SimVibe software.
All right, and of course, it's be worthy to mention too that Richie mentioned how hard it is to pass here. Is that in the race, the most lead changes you've ever seen in the previous 2 trips Lionheart has made here, Lionheart Racing Series, is 2 as far as lead changes in a single race. So these guys have their work cut out for them here for tonight. Hey, we're running a little short on time. Let's go run through the points as quick as we can. Adam Blocker, of course, he is the champion for this year. Dan Guerin, all he has to do is finish ahead of Andrew Kinsella in this race, and he's going to bring home second. But that battle for third is intense, and still a lot of spots on the line that could swap. And I tell you what, in a big top 10, it's a big difference in prize money. So don't think those guys are just going to lay down and take it easy. All right, the team standings here: Adrenaline Motorsports Red, that's going to be Blocker, Carey, Kinsella. They've got the lead as far as the team standings here. Synergy East, a pretty good ways back. It's Guerin, Hacker, Wardlow. They're probably going to finish in second. Third is belonging to Adrenaline Motorsports Black, and you can see they got a pretty good fight there with Loud Pedal Motorsports. Cancer down. Richie, how about those rookie standings?
Yeah, the rookie standings presented by Butt Kicker has been tight all year long, and it's gotten even tight in here right at the end as Rigney's gap back to Martinez has continued to close. It's only 8 points, and they get $75 plus a Butt Kicker SimVibe software key for the winner of the Rookie of the Year. Carey is not out of it, and Hill is hanging in there as well. But really, we've been talking about it all year. This is going to come down not just to this race, but down to Fontana and the next one as well.
Right. And on that graphic, you just take third out there and move everybody up, and it'll be just perfect for you as far as that information there. All right. So with that, we are, of course, on IESN here tonight, the best of the best of the iRacing World Championships, as well as the many top private leagues like the one you're watching right now are showcased right here on the iRacing Esports Network. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you like and subscribe. GSRC is proud to be a part of the IESN stable of broadcasters. Consider the premier fixed setup racing league for the Dallara IR18 on the iRacing service. The Lionheart IndyCar Series honors the memory of the late Dan Weldon, and I would be remiss if I did not mention that the Retro Series tomorrow night, the last Canadian trip for the Retro Series of the season, is of course going to be in memory of Patrick Taylor, who we lost 2 years ago. So definitely check that out as well. All right, we got a couple of seconds here before we got to get to the grid. Let's go ahead and talk about the race details here for today.
And these series details come to us thanks to Minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz. Use the promo code LHRS for 25% off all orders. And here's our series details. Season 7 of the Lionheart IndyCar Series. 2 rounds to go, so that makes us at round 24 of 25 with 3 driver drops. Car is the Dallara IR18. Setups are fixed, but they have been adjusted, and you can see how much they're running for. Those cash and prizes totaling $9,652.
Yeah, and of course, it would fall to me to do the weather, but that's what I kind of do part-time on the side kind of thing. Partly cloudy skies, 75 degrees. At track temperature, though, it's cooking at 113, winds out of the northwest at 6 miles per hour. That sounds like a nice fall California day to me. So we'll be watching those, see what kind of tire wear we get with that high track temperature. So let's go ahead and run through that starting grid here. And that starting grid for today, no surprise on the butt kicker starting grid, Adam Blocker at the top of this field. Although a little bit closer than what it looked like it might have been in practice, he actually ended up with less than a tenth of a second over top of Connor Harrington, who shares the front row with. Dan Guerin is going to be in third. Alongside him will be Brian Carey. Row 3 is going to be Justin Weaver and Tyler Graff. Andrew Kinsella and Stephen Larkamp are going to make up row 4, and row 5 is going to go to James Brandt and Dustin Wardlow.
Row 6 is going to go to Samuel Ryman and Christopher Reagan. Starting 13th, James Krahula, and right next to him, Damon Martinez. Starting in the 8th row is going to be Chris Lanini and John Hill. 17th is George Anzaldo. 18th is going to be David Altman. 19th is going to be Bart Workman, and Tony Schoen wraps up the top 20.
Yeah, and then 21st, a guy that really charged in the second half of the season, but he's going to be starting in the back here today. Brian Yasek, 21st. 22nd is going to go to Brandon Limpkeman. Mike Rigney in 23rd. Ryan Beard at 24th. You're going to notice a few names missing from the grid that sometimes we see here on the Lionheart series. Want to give a big get well to Brian Greenlee. Also to George Sandman and Sage Karam, all recovering from various and sundry things here tonight. So get well, guys. Hopefully we'll see you soon. Let's talk about some onboards. Tyler Graff, he's going to be running the graphics onboard camera here. We got a view over top of the roll loop for him. Whether you're a company, photographer, student, or just creative, Graphic offers graphic services tailor-made according to your budget. At Graphics, you are in great hands with dozens of experienced creative designers to assist you in whatever you need. Their competitive pricing is well below market value and more affordable than hiring an in-house designer for your project. Go ahead and look them up on Facebook. Next up, we've got Brian Yazek. He's going to be giving us some good views from the back here for today. He's got the Plasma Tracks onboard camera. Definitely check out plasma-tracks.com and use the promo code LRS2018 to get 25% off your order while you're there. I might be a little bit too late to get stuff in for Christmas. I can't speak for them exactly on that. I think that's what I saw on their social media, but it doesn't matter. Make it a late Christmas gift. Go out and get somebody something. Adam Blocker. Hey, so we got the view from the back. Let's get the view from the front. Adam Blocker in that number 1 car. He's got the butt kicker onboard camera. Definitely bring more realism and immersion to your sessions. TheButtKicker.com. So some guys there to check out. And while these guys are getting going here, we talk about the race analysis here today. Richie?
Yeah, let's bring up those race analysis graphics up on the screen there. We are at, obviously, Laguna Seca. We're working 56 laps, and the max fuel stint's going to be 18 laps, so that's going to be key since there's no yellow flags. They do get some penalty points, for instance, -3 for 12, -5 for 17, and if you get any more than 25, you are DQ'd and -18 points on your points total.
So we are looking at the possibility of having 3 pit stops here for today, but it all has to get started with the green flag. They round the last corner. They're heading down the front straightaway. Green flag is out. Adam Blocker is on the loud pedal. Big jump there for Adam Blocker. Top three get away relatively cleanly. A little side-by-side action behind that. Oh, look at that dive, though. That was Dan Guerin. Dan Guerin had a good dive. He lost it, though. He gets in, I believe that's Justin Weaver. We'll come back to that here in a few minutes, but everybody other than those two got away sky clean out of that, but that definitely shakes things up quite a bit in the top 10 of this field.
Yeah, that really spread at everybody else as Dan Guerin took a look into Adam Blocker and kind of lost it under braking into that tricky turn 1, turn 2 area, and kind of caught up a little bit. We'll get back to that replay in a second, but right now everybody's spread out as they're already starting to head up towards the corkscrew.
Corkscrew, of course, that famous set of turns. One of my earliest memories watching racing on TV, at least open wheel racing, was of course the Rahal and I believe it was Zanardi pass there in that. I believe that was 1996. So that's
Brian Herta.
Brian Herta, excuse me. Yeah, he was driving a car owned by Rahal, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in the show car. I was in that race.
Oh, okay. So that's where at least I got that from. I knew it was Rahal had a connection in there somewhere. But that's what set me on to kart racing, actually, there. 1996. Adam Blocker solidly in the lead of this right now. Connor Harrington in second. Brian Carey in third. That's going to make up your top three. Go a little ways back. You'll find Tyler Graff and Andrew Kinsella. That rounds out your top five early. Dan Guerin, though, possibly because of the damage sustained in that, did have to call it a night. So looking at back there, it looked like, he ended up having to take an off track there with some of that damage. So let's actually go back and take a look at it now that we kind of got through the start here. I think you guys are already starting to spread out just a little bit. And take back a look at that start. And I don't know, maybe if he just missed his braking point or just saw he had a great opportunity to make a run, but he ended up getting almost side by side there with Adam Blocker, makes some contact, and then just gets barely clips Justin Weaver.
Yeah, I think that Adam Blocker's been so fast that he probably thought that was his one opportunity to get by him, and kind of got sideways, got in the dirt, and unfortunately brought him back out onto the track in front of the field, and there's Justin Weaver's contact. And unfortunately, it's going to take Dan Guerin out early.
And going back up front, Justin Weaver, by the way, fell back to 9th in all of that. So we got those cameras now on, looks like Connor Harrington here and Brian Carey. The gap between those two has been pretty steady at about 0.7 of a second or so here for the last lap. But look, Brian Carey definitely had a little bit of a better entry into the corkscrew. Connor Harrington, had a decent exit. So I think the gap between them is going to stay rough about the same at about 0.7 of a second. Riding on board now, that's out the front of Adam Blocker on that butt kicker on board camera. I have a feeling we won't really see much of anybody in front of him until either pit stops or flat traffic. I think that'll be the thing. Hey, there was another onboard camera I kind of wanted to check out, see how he started this race. Let's go back to Brian Yazik. He was going to have some views from us from the back. Go ahead, Richie.
Spin in turn 3. We got a spin in turn 3. It looked like it was Brian Carey.
So that's third place.
Yeah, he just kind of came into turn 3 and locked up the rear end, just kind of went off the track. This is going to have an impact on those Rookie of the Year standings. And here it is. He's just going to come in all by himself and makes a quick left, but the road's going right, unfortunately.
And that's one thing that Laguna Seca is known for is kind of some of those difficult braking zones, but also the fact that outside the track, it's all just dirt. And how much did he just bring back onto the track that's going to make the exit of that corner a little bit on the slicker side than what it already was. So we'll be watching that here for a next lap or two until things get cleaned off. But what I was going at, now we got time, Brian Yazik, he started this race going in 21st position. and he just continues to make move after move. He is already up to 16th, just picking guys off. So I think this is going to be an onboard camera that we're definitely going to want to keep an eye on here for tonight. Is Brian Yazik on the move early? All right, going back up to P3. Who we got? All right, Tyler Graff, Andrew Kinsella. Andrew Kinsella all over the rear wing right now of Tyler Graff.
Yeah, Andrew Kinsella having a good start to the race, all the way up to 4th place, starting 7th. So he got away through that first lap melee, and he's starting to put the pressure on Tyler Graff. It is tough to pass, so really it comes down to just kind of putting the heat on the guy in front of you, and hopefully they blow the braking zones and you get a chance to get by him. As you're looking out the back of Tyler Graff right now, you can see how close Andrew is as they come up through turns 10 and heading towards that sharp turn 11 hairpin, leading back onto the front straightaway. And man, Andrew Kinsella is inches away from his gearbox at the moment.
And Andrew Kinsella kind of had a no surprise there. You see Adam Blocker go purple, but Andrew Kinsella, as he's going to make the move here. He has the look. Oh, loses a little bit of grip on the front tires. Able to stay side by side. This is exactly where we saw Brian Carey have that problem a minute ago, and it looks like Tyler Graff is going to let him have the position. Andrew Kinsella still runs a little bit wide, though. But Andrew Kinsella is going to take over that 3rd position. I was getting ready to say, Andrew Kinsella did not have the greatest of races at Kentucky, so he's looking for a little bit of redemption here today, Richie.
I was surprised that Tyler Graff gave it to him so easy because he really had the position on him into turn 3. But sometimes you got to look on the end game, and if Andrew's faster than him, sometimes just letting him go and just kind of tag along and see how it's going. But you can see what's coming up behind him is Dustin Wardlow is starting to group up behind these two, and that's also bringing along Stefan Larkamp as well.
Gonna look at here on Stephen Larkamp. Gonna look out over his roll bar. And so we got a 4-way battle now here for 3rd position that's shaping up. Stephen Larkamp didn't get the best exit there. You can kind of see him pulling, see that group there pulling away. And we'll be keeping an eye on this battle for sure here. Oh, Tyler Graff loses it back in just a little bit. Okay, he's got it back in line, but that slowed Wardlow up a lot.
Yeah, it did, and it's starting to bring up another group of cars as Chris Reagan, Justin Weaver, Damon Martinez, Brian Carey are all stacked up behind them. So up front, it's pretty quiet. Adam Blocker's 5 seconds ahead of Connor Harrington already. He's kind of doing his own thing. Connor Harrington doing a good job. He's another few seconds ahead of Andrew. But behind them, we got a huge battle starting with Tyler Graff and so on and back. So 4th through 10th is pretty strong.
Yeah, right now it seems like most positions on the racetrack are in play, at least within a second or two of each other, except for those front two with Adam Blocker and Connor Harrington running away. Looking at Andrew Kinsella. Andrew Kinsella just can't seem to run away yet from Tyler Graff, but that little slip up there the last time by through this part of the racetrack with Tyler Graff there, that really opened up the gap between him and Wardlow, as Wardlow had to back off, and Wardlow hadn't been able to reclose that gap yet.
They're kind of all trying to separate it out by a few tenths of a second. Up front, Adam Blocker, he's the only guy in the 107s, so he's definitely on his own league at this moment. That's why he is not only the defending series champion, but the current series champion.
So let's talk a little bit about this for Adam Blocker here real quick. First of all, we've ran here 3 times in the Lionheart Racing Series with the IndyCars, and both the previous winners are not here tonight. So no matter what, we're going to have a first-time Laguna Seca winner. But there's something else that I want to call to your attention. The largest margin of victory, second largest margin of victory in a Lionheart race happened right here, Laguna Seca, and that was with Jesse Vincent winning over Richard Bear, and that was 37.055 seconds. The largest margin of victory in a Lionheart retro race. I keep on wanting to say retro because I got retro on the mind for tomorrow night. Lionheart Racing Series race in the IndyCars is going to be Adam Blocker from earlier this year over Dan Guerin, and that goes all the way back toward the beginning of the season there with Barber, and that was 52.390 seconds. He almost lapped the field there. So He's going to be trying, I think, to maybe put another mark in the record book here for tonight with that. So look for Adam Blocker to be pushing it hard the entire way here for tonight.
Yeah, well, he's got a good chance. The lap times he's running 107.3. His best lap is 107.2, so he's pretty much right on the money as far as running those fast laps one after the other. Got to give a shout out to Dustin Wardlow, up from 10th spot up to 5th. Also, newcomer here, Chris Reagan, from 12th up to 7th. He's right on the back of this group, so he's doing a good job as well. Seems like everybody's settling down a little bit. Laps are ticking by fairly quickly. We're already working lap 9.
And, of course, while we were talking about all that, right on board now with Christopher Reagan, we were looking out the back wing at Damon Martinez, looking back at Brian Carey, and that is Brian Carey still kind of on that recovery drive after spinning there just a little while ago. So he's trying to make up some ground. I've been watching, we've been kind of following Brian Jansik's climb up through the field. That's kind of stalled out. He's in 16th still, but he is starting to gain on Altman, David Altman. So that's going to be another thing to watch or keep our eye on here. Looking for other battles on the racetrack. There is a three-way fight. Let's go ahead and take a look at this because this involves partly our second-place runner last week in Kentucky. He's kind of pulling away from him, though. George Gonzalo's been locked in a battle here with Brian Beard and Bart Workman toward the back half of the field. So second place runner last week, George Gonzalo, obviously want to give him a shout out, but the teammates Brian Beard and Bart Workman look to be going at it here for a couple of laps.
And going to that Rookie of the Year standings that we talked about, David Martinez and Brian Carey are kind of locked together. But our leader in the Rookie of the Year standings, Mike Rigney, he's not having such a good race right now. He's stuck all the way back down into 20th spot. And that's not going to do it for him, So we're going to have to keep an eye on these guys, see how it all stands out. There's only one race to go after this one.
Going
Andrew
back
Kinsella
up.
sitting in. Yep. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Richie.
I was just going to say, going back up to P3 with Andrew Kinsella. He did get by Tyler Graff a while ago. We saw that pass, but he has not been able to pull away like I thought he would. So he's kind of dragging along Tyler Graff, Dustin Warlow, and Stefan Larkamp. All these guys battling for that final podium position. Not far behind them is Chris Reagan, Justin Weaver, and Damon Martinez and Brian Carey. So got some good battles up on the track. Even though Adam Blocker's blitzing the field, he's 8 seconds ahead. And Connor Harrington's doing a good job holding his own. But the real battle is going to be for that 3rd, 4th, and 5th spot.
And that's one that's been going on here for a while. With right now, it definitely looks like the closest part of that battle is going to be Larkamp and Wardlow, which we'll go back here in a second. But also Carey still just cannot find a way around Damon Martinez. But at the same time, them together, they are catching Justin Weaver and Christopher Reagan in front of them. Looks like somebody, I think it was Larkamp there just a minute ago, smoked the brakes. So that's the smoke that you're seeing on the screen. Brian Carey, he's got himself a fast car. He just doesn't have any clean air to work with, I think, at this point.
No, and he's probably pretty frustrated because he was in 3rd by himself and spun out. So now he's got a lot of work to do. Justin Weaver's putting a lot of heat on Chris Reagan, but now Chris is pulling away a little bit. And now Justin Weaver's got to worry about our 2 Rookie of the Year contenders, Martinez and Carey. Man, Carey is trying hard to get by Martinez, and that's going to have an impact on those standings.
It is. So obviously, like what we talked about the pre-race show, the championship is already locked up. That's going to Adam Blocker here for this season. But every other championship that we have between Rookie of the Year, team standings, even the overall driver standings, with as much money that is on the line for these guys, they have quite a bit to still go for here. The championship may be over as far as who's taking that P1 and that number 1 title card home with them this season, but they still have a lot of money to go through. I think the difference I was reading between, I think, 3rd in the board for championship standings going back to 10th is something like over $100 is the difference. So, and this time of year, if you can bring home $100, I think you'll take it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They are not forgetting that for sure. So nobody's laying down, and they're all going to be fighting for those last few points.
Looking at Wardlow and Larkamp here. And Larkamp's another guy. He seems like he's faster than Dustin Wardlow, just can't quite figure out a way around him. And that goes to show that Larkamp here is having himself a pretty good day, because I've seen Dustin Wardlow race at Laguna Seca before. He's not slow here at all. In fact, you're seeing it here with him catching back up to the back wing of Tyler Graff.
Ooh, we just got a pass. Brian Carey stuffed it on the inside of Damon Martinez. They are drag racing up the front straightaway right now, and they are side by side, but that was a hell of a move there. I don't know if we can get a replay on that in a second. There it is right there, and he just shoved it on the inside. Like I said earlier, if you're going to have to make a pass, you're going to have to manhandle yourself by, but they drag raced the way up the front straightaway, and Brian Carey able to hold on.
Well, that's one way to get it done. He needed to get around him, and he got the job done there. And you see it right here on the GSRC replay machine. That's good side-by-side battle here at Laguna Seca. So that's something that a lot of guys continue on here with iRacing. This is one of the first tracks a lot of iRacers get to go on whenever they start into the simulator. So always great to come to a facility like Laguna Seca. WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. Can't forget that name sponsor there. All right, hey, it's been a little while since we checked in with Adam Blocker real quick. I don't think any of that stuff's going to calm down for a while. Let's go ahead and see how he's doing. He's still setting laps in the 107 time frame. He's pulled another 4 seconds on Connor Harrington. That gap is now up to almost 11 seconds. I think I see 10.999 there on the scoring and timing. So Adam Blocker trying to set that mark as far as largest margin of victory at Laguna Seca, and I think he has a decent chance at all time here today. He is just that fast this afternoon. But we also still have some pit stops to go through, and Richie, I think we're getting pretty close to that pit window.
We are. We're working lap 15. It said 18 laps, so they're not always honest with us on that, so we'll see how it goes. But 3 more laps, and the way Adam Blocker is going around the track, about a little more than 3 minutes. But yeah, he's blitzing the field. He's 12 seconds ahead of Connor Harrington. So if I was Connor Harrington, I'd give up on that and just hold. He's 5.8 seconds up on third spot on Andrew, so he's doing a good job just holding on to his zone. Andrew's starting to pull away a little bit from Tyler Graff. That battle has died down. Really, the battle is back in basically the 7th, 8th, and 9th position.
Yeah, and we were talking about Brian Yazik's run up through the field. Well, that stalled out. He ended up getting some damage a little while ago. I was just looking at it, and it was just caused from bottoming out of the racetrack, but his wing is all tore up, and he's dropped spots. He's now down to 19th, and he's got a challenge here from Rigney, from James Brandt. And I tell you what, Mike Rigney desperately wants that position for that Rookie of the Year battle.
Yeah, especially since the last race is going to be double points, so everything they can gain here will help them out the end. Right now, Brian Carey has closed up on Justin Weaver for 8 spots, so he's a man on a mission. Once he got by Damon Martinez, he's put the pedal down, and he's looking to get back up closer to the front. He really wants that Rookie of the Year championship.
You know, and that's only a few points separating that. If you recall from our opening of the show, that was only an 8-point gap between him and Damon Martinez. So, and Damon Martinez, I think right now, I think he would take that lead as we go into California. As those guys, that was David Altman that was just off track. I was just following along Yazik. David Altman just had a problem. Looks like car broke loose coming out of and into the gravel there. I'm trying to see what else happened here. Go back to the GSRC replay machine. Our director has been able to find it. And I think he had a little bit of contact with the wall when he was trying to get himself straight too. So that is lots of spots lost for David Altman. He's going to find himself back in 21st position. But you know what that does is that gives another spot to Mike Rigney.
That is true. That's going to help him out. We are working lap 19. Adam Blocker has gone by the pit lane, so he's not going to pit. Same thing with Connor Harrington. So these guys are able to squeak out one more lap. Everybody seems to be able to make more than that 18th lap here. Oh, Justin Weaver and Brian Carey. Here comes Brian Carey. He's going to try to make that same move. And he's going to make it happen in turn 11. That's where he passed Damon Martinez earlier, so moved Brian Carey back up into the 8th position, and he is a man possessed right now.
Looking at his lap times of the last couple of minutes, when he's had clean air, he's been within a couple of tenths of a second as far as lap times with Adam Blocker, but of course he's been locked into traffic more often than not. So that was a great move that was set up a while back. It's actually, we're looking at the Mike Rigney battle here on the replay. In fact, Adam Blocker now finding himself into lap traffic. He just got around Brandon Limpkeman and now has Tony Schowen in his sights. And it's not slowing him down any.
Nope, and he also didn't pit either, so he's going to be able to go one more lap. Conrad Harrington has decided he's had enough of those tires. He's going to come in, fuel. Kinsella's in, but Croft, Larkamp, Wardlow, they're all going to keep going one more lap.
Yeah, so starting to see pit road becoming a very busy place. All these guys, we'd figured that they were going to have to make 3 pit stops here for today. And I got to tell you, Richie, it's not really a surprise to me to not see Adam Blocker come in just yet. I've raced against a lot of tough competition. I know you have too, between the majors here in Lionheart and everything else. Adam Blocker, as he comes down pit road now in an entry, which is a very interesting entry, by the way, and I've seen a lot of accidents happen there, but I've never seen a guy that can save fuel and still turn the type of laps that Adam Blocker does. He's got a talent for doing that, and in this case, he was able to eke out another lap than everybody else.
Yeah, he definitely has the whole package. He's fast, and he's able to be easy on his car, so that's definitely why he's 2-time champion now. Comes into his pit box a little bit at an angle, not the best spot, but he's got plenty of time to give, and he's back on his horse, heading out the pit lane. Meanwhile, Conrad Harrington, who was in
Andrew
second,
Kinsella way off track, trying to bring it back on. And yeah, okay, so he is back going straight. He ultimately didn't lose any spots, but that was definitely a heart attack moment here for Andrew Kinsella. He was going to come down through the corkscrew. He's going to take that next right-hander and just miss it. Thankfully, Laguna Seca, this is one of those tracks, Richie, that ton of runoff here.
Yeah, a ton of runoff as long as you can keep the car going in a straight direction. But yeah, he didn't lose too much time there. It kind of started in the corkscrew, came in a little hot, and just kind of continued that down the hill. And very easy to do, but no harm, no foul, holding that same spot. A little bit of lap time he's lost. It looks like he lost about 10 seconds, 8 seconds on that, but he is still holding that position.
And ultimately, I think it cost him a spot because Tyler Graff was coming off of pit road in front of him, and he ended up just in front of Andrew Kinsella. So if he hadn't had that off, he probably would have had that position over Tyler Graff. Which Tyler Graff, by the way, giving us that graphics onboard camera here for today, which we'll take a look at here in a few minutes. Actually, our director is getting that going here right now. So roll bar loop over top there, and we look out the back, we'll have Andrew Kinsella really starting to get close to him here. See that front wing of that green machine that Andrew Kinsella drives. And you can see some of the heat waves. Isn't that a neat effect? So you sometimes get the heat that comes off the engine will hit the camera just right. You get that little heat island effect there going. So that's always pretty cool to see. All right, think of we were going to take a look. I believe it was Connor Harrington is where we were wanting to go. So we can go over there and take a look at him. And Connor Harrington have himself a pretty good day running in second. He's getting ready to start encountering some of that lap traffic as well, as he's got Brandon Limpkeman in front of him. Just to give you a comparison here, his lap times, it's another guy that he's capable of running 107s, but he's been running 108s most of this race, even though Adam Blocker in front of him is still setting the 107s. So Adam Blocker is still showing quite a bit of pace.
Oh, he's just smoking everybody. He's in a league of his own. Got to give a notice to Brian Carey to do that pit stop exchange. He did move back up one spot in front of Chris Reagan, so move him up into 7th position. He is probably our second fastest car on track. Well, maybe third next to Connor Harrington. But he has moved himself up to second, and he is right behind Dustin Wardlow. Looks like he might be trying to make a move into turn 1. And he's going to make it, I think. I think he's going to... Oh, no, Brian Carey is out.
He's around. Again, for the second time this race, he is pointing the wrong direction. As that's happening, Mike Rigney was off in the corkscrew, but he's back going straight. GSRC replay machine taking a look at what happened.
It
looks like we're kind of far back.
Yeah, he just came into turn 1 right here, trying to make the pass, and looks like it's going to be a different lap, maybe a little farther back on the replay in turn 1, but he just kind of locks up the rear end, and it looks like he's off again.
Ooh, and you see him back into the wall right there.
Oh, he's out.
He took a toe. Yeah, I think that might be suspension damage there, and he has in fact called it a day. So Brian Carey had himself a good recovery drive going, but ends it into the concrete here at Laguna Seca. And also seeing, I believe that's Samuel Ryman around. So starting to see more and more guys having problems. Richie, is that a byproduct of the fact the more we run here, the slicker this track gets?
It does get slick, and I think, too, these guys are just trying so hard, and they're right on the edge anyways, and they're just making these small little errors, and it's just kind of compounding itself. But you can also see as they go off the track, they're bringing a lot of dirt back on the track as well, so the track is definitely not in its best position.
Yeah, and we just saw right there, it looked like Tyler Graff getting around Stephen Larkamp. And yeah, that was a good move. So we're going to go ahead and pull that up here on the replay. And that's allowed Dustin Wardlow to kind of close in on him a little bit, but not too much. So take a look here. And Stephen Larkamp almost gets himself a really good run here. And then once again, we saw Tyler do this earlier. He just kind of lets him go. Then he kind of gets the over-under on him. And then Larkamp's going to get almost another look, but then can't complete it. But overall, I think Larkamp just went in there a little hot, had to get on the brakes a little bit more than what he was wanting to. But Tyler was going to let him have that position there. At least that's how it looked. Going back live, Tyler was smoking the brakes a little bit.
Tyler played the smart move there, just let him go and do that over under. So nice job by him. Right now it's Adam Blocker up front, 17 seconds in front. Connor Harrington doing his thing. He's 8 seconds ahead of Andrew Kinsella. And then you got Tyler Groff and Stephen Larkamp battling for that 4th and 5th spot.
Right on board here with Justin Weaver over the helmet. That's Christopher Reagan in front of him. Christopher Reagan, a newcomer to the series, is making himself really well known here for, I believe this is his first race or first of a couple of races here today. So making a name for himself, and that's a good thing to do here, doing it clean and running in the top 10 right now along with Justin Weaver. And Justin Weaver, no slouch himself, so setting a good pace. Hey, I got to give a shout out real quick to our director today, Sean Ambrose. Sometimes we'll call Joe Peak the hardest working man in sim racing, but today that honor goes to Sean Ambrose. He started his night off in this marathon of racing that we're having going on this Wednesday night here on GSRC with the CSI Shock Series. So he started dirt track racing, and then he went to the PRL Trucks race at Talladega, which you saw me on there a little while ago. And now we're going road course racing on the West Coast, and all in the span of a couple of hours. So Sean Ambrose, hard working dude tonight. Got to give our appreciation to him. Right now on your screen, looking at a battle, trying to see who that is. That is Adam Blocker cutting his way through lap traffic. That was Bart Workman in 14th. That's George Anzaldo in 13th, and he is cutting through them like butter.
Yeah, George Anzaldo, Workman, and Brandt all battling hard for that 13th spot. And then here comes Adam Blocker, and they all kind of let him go by and then kind of resume their battle. Here comes Bart Workman. He's going to try to get the run off this corner. You can see on the screen he's going to get the inside, and that's going to maybe bring his teammate along. And it looks like George is going to be able to hold on to that 14th spot.
I am now seeing that Brian Yazek has now called it a day So our 4 retirees so far out of this field of 24 is Dan Guerin, James Krahula, Brian Carey, and Brian Yazik. So those are your 4 retirees here so far this afternoon.
Up front, everybody's kind of single filed themselves out a little bit. Probably the best battle on track right now. It's going to go back to Bart Workman and Zaldo and Brandt there, basically all battling out for that 13th, 14th spot. Got to give a shout out to John Hill. He's done a good job starting 16th. He's all the way up to 11th. He's in that Rookie of the Year battle as well. He's got a little bit of some points to make up, but he's doing a good job getting up into the 11th spot.
Yeah, I'm going back to my notes here and pulling up that Rookie of the Year standings on my side, and that was all. It was like this last year too. It's one of the more competitive, championships they've got here, and it's great. But Hill kind of came into it with 48 points, and we mentioned he's not quite out of it. He just needs a few things to go his way. But on the driver's standing side of things here too, I mean, he was, he wasn't looking too bad there. He was outside the top 16, but I think he was just outside the top. I think he was 17th or 18th. And the thing to note though is next week we go to Auto Club, and that's a Triple Crown race, Richie, and that means double points.
Yeah, and John Hill's, maybe he's 48 points back, but man, Mike Rigney, our leader in the Rookie of the Year standings, not having a good race. He's only made himself up to 18th spot. The big mover is going to be David Martinez. He's the one who is only 8 points back of Rigney, and he's all the way up to 9th. So that's going to change hands if it keep going this way for this race before we get to Fontana.
All right, there's Inzaldo losing that spot to Brian Beard. Those are 2 guys that have been racing together for a long time, so they kind of knew what to expect from each other. But now he's just got to try to set the pace away from him, as David Altman is in front of them now. Excuse me, behind them. I'm getting my positions here mixed up. It's been a long day on GSRC, that's for sure. Looking at David Altman here.
He's he just goes off the track a little bit and turned 10. He's closing up on Anzaldo, and Rigby's starting to close up on this group as well.
Oh, Andrew Kinsella, he's off the track coming out of the corkscrew, trying to see if he tagged the concrete. We're gonna have to watch to see if he has any kind of suspension damage here. That was 3rd place.
Yeah, he got a little bit loose coming down, and looks like he tagged the wall. I don't know if he's got any damage, but he did lose the spot to Tyler Groff, and now he's got Steven Larkamp to worry about. So Tyler Groff is now moved up to 3rd position.
And taking a look here once again, Andrew Kinsella, we'll see him come into the corkscrew here. It looks like when he just got back on the gas, is it wanted to try to keep on carrying him forward, and that's where he seems to slap that concrete.
Yeah, he might have some damage because he just got eaten up by Steven Larkamp.
It seems like he's running. It turned into an understeer condition for him right now here. That's at least my eyeballing it.
And he's losing another spot to Justin Wardlow's going by him. So he's definitely got something wrong with the car. We can't see, but it's not helping him much, that's for sure.
I'd have to think too, Richie, you have something like that happen as a driver, and it also could possibly just take him a minute or two to kind of get his senses back together.
Yeah, sometimes you're so mad at yourself that you made that mistake that you try too hard in the next couple corners, and then it just gets worse. So you just got to kind of regroup, evaluate what you have, and do the best you can. But he's definitely struggling. He's lost 2 positions, and also Chris Reagan and Justin Weaver are battling hard right behind them, and they're kind of just slowly catching up.
And let's go ahead and check on board here with Justin Weaver, as Christopher Reagan's just in front of him, Andrew Kinsella in front of them. In fact, you saw that Andrew Kinsella was the one that kicked up the dirt right there. Trying to make that lens there on the GSRC onboard camera a little on the dirty side. It didn't work. So Christopher Reagan, though, doing his best to try to run away from Christopher Reagan, and doing so very slowly. There's been a couple of times where he's been about 100th, maybe about 500ths of a second faster than him at times.
Yeah, Justin was a little closer in this couple turns. He tried to make a move in, I believe, turn 3 or 4, and he lost a little spot. But Chris doing a good job going around a lap car right here.
Oh, here Rigney, going to check in with him. He is involved in a battle here. That's George and Zaldo. Rigney, as we talked about a few times, he needs every single position he can get. So if he can take one over the league organizer, I think he'll try it here. In fact, it looks like George and Zaldo might just let him have the spot and head into the corkscrew. He's going to fight back. No side-by-side battle this time. I think Mike Rigney, if he'd had another about 100, 200 feet before that corner, he would have been able to take it.
I don't think George is letting anybody by at this moment. He's fighting for everything he can get. And Mike's, obviously, this is not a track that he's liking right now. And he's just got to do the best he can and kind of finish the race out.
Speaking of facilitating passes, we've got 3 teammates still involved in the battle here with Beard, Workman, and Brandt. And Workman just let Brandt have the spot. And I thought he was going to do the same for his teammate Brian Beard. Brian Beard ends up running wide, getting into the dirt.
We want to go back to Kinsella. He's now fallen into the clutches of Chris Reagan and Justin Weaver. Justin Weaver's all over the back of Chris.
Ooh, a big move by Justin Weaver. Chalk him up to gaining that spot over top of Christopher Reagan.
Yeah, he's been working on that for a little while, and now next on his list is going to be Andrew Kinsella. And that was a bold move. It's tough to get on the brakes and stop the cars. We saw what happened to Ryan Carey earlier on. Got a good run, and he's just going to send it right onto the inside, and he's able to hold on to it here.
Now they both got to try to figure out a way around Andrew Kinsella, who that last lap, he was about a second slower than these two. But he's also still trying to get as much as he can out of it before the next round of pit stops, which...
Yeah.
Probably going to be happening here in the next couple laps.
Yeah, about 3 or 4 laps should start seeing him pit. So Andrew's trying to hold on, see how much damage he has when he comes to that pit stop. He was in 3rd, down to 6th, but here comes Justin Weaver, and Andrew's going to try to make him go around the outside, and that's just bringing Chris Reagan. Oh, here comes Justin Weaver. He's going to try to go around the outside.
Yeah, thinks better of it here. And Christopher Reagan was at the same time looking at maybe trying to stick his nose back in there. Andrew Kinsella runs a little bit wide. Justin Weaver's going to take advantage. Christopher Reagan's also going to try to sneak in here. Not able to complete the move for Christopher Reagan, but he's going to do the over-under. Christopher Reagan now on the inside of him here. They head up toward the kink. And it looks like I don't know if that's a good move to go side by side through there. Andrew Kinsella runs way wide. He's back in the dirt, pulls it back onto track. But Christopher Reagan takes over the position. And I think the most important thing for Christopher Reagan here is Christopher Reagan's around. He is around into the second half of the corkscrew, trying to find a spot to get back straight. And what exactly do you think happened here, Richie?
It looks like he just got on the gas as it went over the crest. You kind of have to let it roll over the top of it, then accelerate. If you try to get on the gas too soon, you just spin those rear tires up, and then it comes around. It's really easy to do. No harm, no foul. Loses some track position, but he didn't hit anything. So I'm sure he's mad at himself, but he's able to continue on.
Oh, Dustin Wardlow at some point had a problem. He is missing his front wing, front nose cone. Looks like it was out of turn 11. Got on the gas too hard and nosed it into the concrete. Trying to get that fired up here for you. It was a very square hit, though, Richie. I don't know if he got any actual suspension damage out of it, but he's definitely going to need to get that front nose replaced.
Yeah, he's missing part of the car there. So, fortunately, he's close enough to his pit window that he could pit and get that repaired and not get too far out of sequence. Yeah, it looks like he just squarely nosed it in, ripped the front wing off and the shock cover. That's something they can fix in the pit lane. It's going to take a little bit of time, but he can continue on.
Once again, we haven't checked in with him in a while. We'll go back up front to...
And he is in.
Yeah, okay, so never mind. We got a battle here that's developed. Damon Martinez has caught back up to Andrew Kinsella. Checking with that before we go up front, is Martinez doing is trying to, in fact, he gets around Andrew Kinsella very easily there. So I kind of missed that when I was trying to get to it here on my end. Christopher Reagan is now back up to the back end of Andrew Kinsella. Andrew Kinsella might just let him have that position. Indeed, he does. Christopher Reagan's going to take it over as Dustin Wardlow pulls away with a brand new shiny front nose wing and front suspension box cover there. So shiny new pieces on top of that Dewar's candy machine. Checking in on Mike Rigney, who comes right out in front of Dustin Wardlow, comes out right in front of him, and Mike Rigney also still got Connor Harrington behind him, and that's second place on the racetrack is Connor Harrington.
Working lap 36, so crossing over to 37. Anna Blocker's going to be able to go around again, saving some fuel there. Those who are keeping track on how far ahead he is, he's almost 30. He's 30 seconds ahead of second place, so he's looking to set that record.
And so there is Adam Blocker. We've been talking about him, and he mentioned that record there. I think the record for the largest margin of victory at Laguna Seca, which is also second on the all-time list, that looks like that's going to fall here today, as already that gap between him and Connor Harrington is now, as you mentioned, about 31 seconds. I believe that record there was 37.055. So we might actually get past that here in the next few laps, as Adam Blocker continues to just set the world on fire. That butt kicker camera, very, very fitting here today for Adam Blocker, because he is certainly doing just that, as we anticipate him making a pit stop here in the next lap or two.
He just went around Andrew Kinsella for pit. He's lapped all the way up to 8th spot. We got Martinez into the pit lane.
Seems to be the only taker here this time by. And so that means Adam Blocker has now lapped all the way up to Andrew Kinsella, still in 7th place. So next up would be Christopher Reagan in 6th. Seeing where he is in relation. So he's got a little while before he gets up to Christopher Reagan. Might actually happen after this round of pit stops here.
Yeah, Adam Blocker, he's done a best lap of 106.8. He's still running 107.6s even in traffic. Connor Harrington's in the pit lane now. Second place finisher, or second place position. That's going to put Tyler Graff up into second place. He's going to go around one more time. Same with Steven Larkamp. Justin Weaver's in the pits. Reagan's in the pits.
You know, and if Connor Harrington, ends up finishing the job here and comes home in second, like it looks like he has a pretty decent chance of doing it, that's going to be a big move for him. He lost 2 spots after Kentucky in the points, dropped him to 11th and outside the top 10. So it's going to be a good points day for Connor Harrington heading into Auto Club, which, as we've discussed already, is going to be double points. Looking at Christopher Reagan, he is now away. Andrew Kinsella is now in pit road, and this is going to be an interesting one here. See how long he actually stops for. See if he tries to get any kind of, I wonder if he tried to get a little bit of that damage kind of straightened out there. And so we'll watch his lap times when he comes back out and see if maybe that improves for him, because he was definitely starting to have some problems there toward the tail end. That's John Hill right in front of him. And right now we got the camera on Adam Blocker as we are waiting for him to make his appearance down pit road. And it takes a little trip through the gravel there. I think at this point he's just doing that to have fun. But Adam Blocker coming in now, I think that that's going to put him in the window. He's not going to have to come down. It's going to be a 2-stop race for Adam Blocker here today. Stephen Larkamp coming back out on track. Tyler Graff in front of him. And Mike Reedney.
Amazing Adam Blocker can run those times and still do one less pit stop.
And that's what I was getting at earlier. There's very, very rare talent to be able to still be that fast and save that much fuel. And he has that. It's Brandon Linkeman, just finding him around on entry to the corkscrew. Adam Blocker coming out in traffic. Very tight pit exit, and he finds himself in the mix of it here. And so he's going to have, that's Damon Martinez. Yeah, Damon Martinez in front of him, Christopher Reagan in front of him. Those aren't slow guys, and they are racing for position. So there you go. We knew it might happen. He might get up to 7th place after the pit stops, and indeed that looks like what's going to happen, as both of these gentlemen here have stopped already. Adam Blocker almost to Damon Martinez. Damon Martinez also, I mean, yeah, he wants to try to give Adam Blocker a little bit of room to make a clean pass, but he also can't afford to lose any time to Christopher Reagan. That's a tough situation to be in sometimes.
Yeah, Damon Martinez is going to pull over right now on the front straight and let him go and just kind of tag in along behind him. Well, maybe not. Oh, there he goes. Now he finally lets him go into turn 1. He was kind of drag racing him up the front straightaway there, but Adam Blocker now lapped up to basically 7th spot. Next up is Chris Reagan. And hopefully Damon Martinez is probably hoping that Chris slows down, has to slow down so he can get back into that fight.
Looking around the racetrack here for other battles out there. Everybody, as this race has gone along, has done a pretty good job at spreading out. I really think the only real car-on-car contact we saw there was lap 1, turn 1. And ever since then, it's just been a couple of self-spins, and typical of a slick track with the self-spins, locking up brakes, getting in a little too hot, stuff like that, making visits to the sand traps. These guys think they're at Pebble Beach or something up the road.
Going back to Andrew Kinsella, who was running 3rd before he had that incident. He's all the way back to 12th, so the damage he had and the time he had to take in the pit stop has really hurt his chances of having a good finish today.
And I'm looking at his lap times, and they have not improved. His car still seems to want to oversteer quite a bit. So that's unfortunate for him, as he had himself a great run going. And you know, got to also give a shout out to Andrew Kinsella. This is one of the guys at Lionheart that does a lot of work on the setups that you see both here on the IndyCar and also on the Lotus 79 for the Retro Series. He works hard all season long. So, you know, thanks for always making sure things are ready to go. As you know, we run fixed setups in the Lionheart series, both of them, but they are custom fixed setups. So it's not the iRacing fixed setups, as you might see in other series. It's actual custom fixed setup. Everybody's running the same, but it is fine-tuned to try to get a little bit more performance out of it and try to throw a little bit more into the hands of the driver, make sure everybody's on the same page. Christopher Reagan is around right behind Adam Blocker. That looked very much like what Dustin Wardlow did just a few minutes ago, except Christopher Reagan is able to keep anything out of the concrete.
Yeah, he just came on. He had just let Adam Blocker go, and he gets on the gas a little too hard. Unfortunately, he locks it down, stops the car, able to keep going, and he's going to lose basically 2 spots. He's going to lose a spot to Weaver and or Martinez and Wardlow.
And, of course, Damon Martinez for sure does not mind that, as that gives him an extra spot here in the rookie battle. You know, guys, this happens, I swear, this happens every time I have to come over here and call one of the Lionheart IndyCar races. Chris Lanini has found himself once again in the top 10, and we haven't talked about him a bit. in that purple mean machine. Started this race in 15th, has worked himself up to 9th, and just doing it very quiet-like. You never really know he's there until he's there. He's got one of the other hard chargers of the race. It's John Hill right behind him.
Yeah, he's quietly gotten up there. He's doing a good job sitting in the top 10. John Hill, the same thing. 15th to 9th, 16th to 10th. These guys are just doing their thing. That's what you got to do sometimes. Just try. If you can't be the fastest guy, just try to be consistent, put those laps together.
And that's one thing that I've always found Chris Lanini very good at doing. One of the more consistent drivers you'll find in the IndyCar and the Lionheart Retro. And now he's doing his best right now to hold off John Hill. Riding John Hill, of course, in that Sim Pit machine. We'll have the Sim Pit post-race show in a little bit. Excuse me, the Plasma Tracks post-race show here in a little bit. But Sim Pit has been a big supporter of the Lionheart series in the past. And looking for other battles out there. It's one of those ones that things have definitely calmed down. I think people are at this point just trying to get to the end of the race. There's about 13 laps to go here. And who is that around? Brandon Limpkeman having some problems once again with the self-spin. There is just the dominance that Adam Blocker has put on here today. By the way, that gap now is at 36 seconds even. So the previous record, as we've been talking about here all night, as far as margin of victory, will actually, I believe, be surpassed. I think he's going to get above 37 seconds, maybe even on this lap. So let's ride with Adam Blocker here. In fact, let's go on board with him here on the Butt Kicker onboard camera. And that Butt Kicker onboard camera showing clear track in front of him, able to set the pace. That last lap was in the 106s for Adam Blocker. See if he's able to set that again here. And if he's able to get above 37 seconds, I believe, as long as nothing major happens between here and the end of the race, that should set a record as far as the largest margin of victory at Laguna Seca and second all-time. And he still has time to try to go for the all-time record. We knew he was going to be fast here today, and he is showing us just how fast he is. He's trying to put a capital mark on his championship here this season.
Yeah, he's just blitzing the field. He's the only driver who's dipped into the 106s, and he's doing it consistently at the moment. So, man, good job to him, saving fuel, saving his car, and putting down those fast laps. It's kind of hard to beat.
Go back to Wardlow and Reagan. As Reagan has gotten back up almost to Wardlow, a little bit back to him. Now 1.3 seconds. Of course, Wardlow took over that position after Reagan's self-spin a few laps ago. Slides it into the corkscrew, catches it though. Honestly, that was a great piece of driving after he started sliding.
Yeah, that was a whole drift into the corner, just back it in, just cut across the dirt. Was able to point it back down the hill, but it's really driving the car a little bit hard here. He's got a fast car. He just needs to settle down a little bit and just kind of put those laps together, because all these little self spins, that's his third one, has really pushed him down the lot. He was up into 5th or 6th spot earlier.
Yeah, one of our fastest drivers early on in this race has run into trouble as of late. We'll keep an eye on him and see if he's able to kind of get it back together, so to speak. Going to Tyler Graff and Stephen Larkamp. Stephen Larkamp continues to try to chase down Tyler Graff. Tyler Graff running in third. And that is, of course, the graphics onboard camera right there, looking out over the rear wing. And
yeah,
Stephen Larkamp starting to look a little larger.
Yeah, that last lap, Steven was 0.6 of a second faster. So Tyler's starting to watch his mirrors a little bit, and we're going to have a battle for third place soon.
Yeah, Stephen Larkamp, another one of those guys, even though we've talked a lot about him today, but in the past, there's been lots of races where, like Chris Lanini, sometimes you don't really talk to him about the end of the race, because all of a sudden he's just kind of there, and begins to make his presence known later in the event. Tyler Graff, you see him up in front there. He is trying to work around Brian Beard. Brian Beard 1 lap down now to the leaders, and he was involved in that great battle earlier with some of his teammates, including Bart Workman, who is up in front of theirs. But what that's doing right now is Brian Beard actually slowing Tyler Graff up quite a bit, as he'll let him have the position now. But that lets Stephen Larkamp really gain on him right there.
Stephen Larkamp's almost in striking distance. He's only 1 second behind exactly, so we're working 9 to go. So as long as Stephen can keep putting the pressure on, I think we're going to have a good battle here for that last podium spot.
Still riding on board, Stephen Larkamp. It's Tyler Graff now, though. He also has the lap car of Bart Workman in front of him. And then they got to worry about Andrew Kinsella. So plenty of lap traffic here, and it's going to be up to Stephen Larkamp, hopefully, to hope that Tyler gets slowed up a little bit and he's able to take advantage of it. Here's one point where Stephen Larkamp might actually himself get slowed down a little bit as they're going through the corkscrew there. Brian Beard gave him plenty of room, but still, it's not a place where you go side by side. I think he might have lost a couple of tenths right there.
Yeah, he did a good job trying to get out of the way the best he can, but it has kind of closed this gap up here.
Ooh, Christopher Reagan's around again.
Oh, yeah. It looks like he's got a little damage on that front wing. I don't know if it happened right there, but kind of just lost the car coming off the corner there, just getting on the gas a little too hard. As we watch the replay here, looks like kind of clips the dirt.
Yeah, our director getting that fired up, and these high-powered IndyCar machines, you go through a high G corner like that, you put one tire off just a little bit, grab that dirt, and it'll go right around on you.
Yeah. Still didn't hit anything, but he's lost that chance to get back up to where he was. All the way back into 11th position. There it is. Just kind of lost it on the inside. Stopped it before the tires. But there you can see Samuel Ryman going by him. So move Samuel Ryman up to 10th spot. Good job to him.
Yeah.
Christopher Reagan back to 11th.
Lost a few spots early on, but recovered them. And now back up to 10th place. Another guy that here today, there's been a couple of them. I mean, I feel like we've gone through most of the field, but this is the first time we really talked about Samuel Ryman. So good to get a chance to talk about one of our co-commentators here on GSRC, and out there having himself a good top 10 day so far. And actually here the last couple of laps has been closing in on John Hill.
Yeah, he's actually running pretty good lap times, 108.2s. That was his best lap, that last lap around, and John Hill in front of him was only running 108.5, so he is closing in on that 9th spot.
There's a lap comparison, and you can see the difference between those two. As we got a battle here, it's shaping up now. Andrew Kinsella has fallen back into the clutches of Brian Beard and Bart Workman. So we got a three-way battle now for 13th position coming out of the corkscrew. As Brian Beard doing his best to try to get around Andrew Kinsella. Andrew Kinsella, we believe, has some sort of suspension damage that has slowed him down. And going into turn 11, Brian Beard is going to try to get the job done. Loses traction on the rear end, keeps it from going around, but can't get the run off the corner and gives that position back to Andrew Kinsella. He had 13th, I think, for about a half second there, Richie.
Yeah, he had it just for a second there. Before I go back up to that battle for P3, Stephen Larkamp has closed right up onto Tyler Groff. And this is going to be a battle right to the end. We only got 5 to go. And Larkamp has been steadily about 5 to 6 tenths of a lap faster each lap. And he's only 7 tenths of a second behind.
Yeah, Larkamp continues to set faster lap times than Tyler Graff, but And it just doesn't, seems like when he gets close, either lap traffic or something else happens to slow him down. Hasn't quite been able to make that move. But I think you're right, Richie. I think this is going to be a battle here. Might be the battle on the racetrack when we come to the line with now Adam Blocker out almost 47 seconds over top of Connor Harrington. And Connor Harrington himself has about 10 seconds on these guys.
Yeah, we haven't talked much about Connor Harrington. He's been in second place the whole time and just kind of held on, so he's doing a good job. But the real battle is going to be for this third spot. And we'll just kind of keep an eye on that. Everywhere else around the track is kind of spread out a little bit. Although Damon Martinez and Dustin Wardlow are getting a little closer to each other for that sixth position. Chris Lanini and John Hill battling now. John Hill's done a good job tagging on the back. And Samuel Ryman has closed in onto the back of this. So this is a good battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah, looking at that battle here now on your screen. And that also is also the other battle we've been watching with Brian Beard, Andrew Kinsella, and Bart Workman. They were both able to get around to Andrew Kinsella, so he falls back 2 more spots, just to update you on that. But Lanini, I'm impressed here. Lanini's, this is all these 3 guys right here that we haven't talked a lot about tonight. And lo and behold, they find each other on the racetrack. Chris Lanini runs a little wide. Yeah. John Hill's going to have a good look here. Chris Lanini gives him plenty of room. Yeah, but John Hill gets a good run off the corner. Lanini's run wasn't bad himself. He's going to try the over-under here, going through the kink. Not quite able to get back to him. Got one more chance here at the corkscrew. Samuel Ryman in what our old pal Soup likes to call the popcorn position. He's right back there, ready to pounce should something happen. Chris Lanini, that's a dogfight right now. They're just searching for any little bit of grip they can to try to get themselves around here.
Yeah, John Hill did a good job. That all started with Chris Lanini hit the, he almost loses off at turn 11, and that's going to open the door for Samuel Ryman. So Chris Lanini giving it all he can to kind of get that position back, but he's got to worry about, here comes Sam Ryman onto the inside. No door open there for him. But it all started back into turn 4 a lap before when I saw Chris Lanini hit the curb. Kind of bounced him almost off the track, and that opened the door for John Hill.
I'll have to watch, see if Chris Lanini is able to come back at John Hill. And while that's going on, battle for 6 is heating back up here as Dustin Wardlow is now caught back up to Damon Martinez, and they're right next, right nose to tail, going through the corkscrew, coming out of that section now.
Going through turn 10, coming into turn 11.
Ooh,
no room for Dustin Wardlow. Ooh, they had it
slowed up big time by Brandon Lipkeman. And Wardlow gives Damon Martinez all the room he needs to try to negotiate that safely.
Yeah, he almost took out Damon Martinez. Now Damon Martinez once again is battling for that Rookie of the Year points lead at this moment, so he doesn't want to do anything too crazy. We're this close to the end.
All right, all the battles coming together here right at the end. Andrew Kinsella now losing another spot, this time to Mike Rigney. Mike Rigney is able to gain back another one, so that moves him into 15th position. And now David Altman doing everything he can to try to get around Andrew Kinsella. Andrew Kinsella just continues to fall down the order here today.
Yeah, obviously that car's a lot worse than we thought because he's fallen way down. We got a bunch of great battles going on the track between Martinez, Wardlow, Hill, Ryman, and even Chris Lanini and Christopher Reagan. Those guys are battling it out for that top 10 spot as well.
Yeah, lots of positions still on the line here for today.
Working that final lap.
Yeah, one that is not up for contention is going to be Adam Blocker. Adam Blocker has just dominated today. He's going to make one last trip down the corkscrew. And the margin of victory, previous record he set himself earlier on this year was 52.390. We're going to have to watch to see if he's able to accomplish that again. I think we might have a new record set as far as margin of victory. But your champion for last year, your champion for this year takes another race win. The Grand Prix of Monterey, presented by Graphics, goes to Adam Blocker here today. Great run by him. Connor Harrington will be watching come across the line in a few minutes. Looking at some other battles as they come close to the line here. And I think pretty much everything is going to be set except Chris Lanini and Christopher Reagan. Chris Lanini finding himself back into the clutches of Christopher Reagan. Something happened there for a few minutes. As these guys are going to be the next ones to come across the line. As Lanini slides, he tries to hold it. Oh, man, Christopher Reagan's able to stay off of him, but does have to give up the challenge for the spot as they both come across the line. Connor Harrington now coming out of the final corner. He's going to come home P2, and I do believe we have a new record for largest margin of victory in a Lionheart IndyCar race at 54.734 seconds. Tyler Graff now across the line in third, Stephen Larkamp in fourth, and that rounds out all four cars on your lead lap here for today. When we come back here in a few minutes, we'll get into the final running order. We'll also talk about the the Plasma Tracks post-race show.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for a rest. Often imitated, never duplicated, the greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
The Sim Pit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The Sim Pit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for The Sim Pit.
Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Monterey, presented by Graphics, and now the Plasma Tracks Victory Lane post-race show. If you're struggling to find something for the person who has everything, I have the website for you. Plasma-Tracks.com not only produces original racetrack wall art, motorsports trophies, home decor, and motorsports fabrication are also available. Words cannot do justice to the uniqueness of their wares. The only way to fully appreciate their artwork is to see it for yourself. Be warned, one visit, next thing you know, you'll be trying to convince your spouse why you need a Plasma Track wall art hanging in your home. See it all, Plasma-Tracks.com, and use the promo code LRS 2019 to get 25% off your order. And now let's go ahead and go through the Sim Pit finishing order here for the Grand Prix of Monterey at WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. Adam Blocker setting a new record for largest margin of victory in Lionheart IndyCar race, 54.735 seconds over top of Connor Harrington. He was the only guy in the 106 range as far as lap times here tonight. So Connor Harrington does come home with a second, and a very strong second at that, as he was just trying to lay off there just a little bit toward the end and bring it home. Tyler Graff, great podium there from Tyler, and he had to earn it here for today. Stephen Larkamp all over the back of him toward the end of that thing. Justin Weaver, Damon Martinez, they had a good battle going there for a while. They both finished one lap down. Another three guys that had a good battle for a while: John Hill, Samuel Ryman, Chris Lanini, and Christopher Reagan, who had himself a good top five going before he ran himself into trouble and then found a couple more trouble spots out there, Richie.
Yeah, coming home in 11th, it's going to be James Brandt. Right behind him will be Dustin Wardlow in 12th. Ryan Beard coming home 13th. Good job from 24th on the grid to 13th. Coming home 14th will be Bart Workman. Right behind them will be Mike Rigney. He's probably not too happy with that. It's going to bring that Rookie of the Year battle right to the end. He's coming home 15th. Andrew Kinsella was running up in the top three and had some problems on the zone and damaged the car. He's going to come home 16th. 17th is going to be George Anzaldo. 18th, David Altman. 19th, Tony Schowen. And 20th will be Brandon Limkeman.
Yeah, and these four guys here were not able to finish the race here for today. Are only four retirees. That's going to be Brian Yazik, Brian Carey, James Krahula, and Dan Guerin. All right, big win for today for Adam Blocker. We're going to let Richie catch up with him.
Well, Adam, you pretty much smoked everybody once again. We were pretty amazed at not only how fast you were, but really just how you were able to save fuel as well. I know it was kind of uneventful, but I'm sure you have a story to tell us about your race.
Yeah, because that championship wrapped up, I was really just doing like Q laps, pushing hard the whole race. Kind of exhausted after it, but I was just trying to, build as much of a gap as I could and run as fast as I could. Got a few off tracks, a few times, had close moments with lap cars, but overall didn't really have any major issues. So except for, I guess the main thing was Dan on lap one was kind of interesting, but.
Yeah, I think Dan saw that was his only chance to maybe get by you and kind of lost it going into the corner. Unfortunately, ended his race. But yeah, you lapped all the way up to fourth spot, and you've also set a record for the largest margin of victory. So we could tell you were definitely on a mission.
Yeah, I was just kind of trying to do my thing, push hard. So I was kind of disappointed Sandman couldn't race tonight. Thought he had good pace in practice, but I was looking forward to it. But yeah, definitely take the win, 10th for the season. So going to try to make it 11 in Auto Club.
I'm sure you will. So congratulations. Once again, great season last year and this year's champion. Anybody you like to thank?
Just you guys for calling the race, George and all the admins for all the work they do. And thanks to Team Adrenaline for all the work they do. Unfortunately, it didn't go too well for the rest of the guys, but I think we'll be strong in Auto Club. So see you guys.
Very good. So congratulations to our winner, Adam Blocker. Adam?
Yeah, now next up here, we got Connor Harrington. Connor, hey, great second place run today. Relatively, except for I think a lot of the people feel like lap one, turn one there kind of got a little interesting. But outside of that, it was pretty much just you on cruise control.
Yeah, lap one was a little interesting. Dan, I tried to kind of like time to start. I figured Adam would have went a little earlier, and he kind of held it up so I had to check up for the field so I didn't get black flag. And then Dan kind of got the jump on me and kind of got lucky that he beached it on the curb there. But yeah, it was a good run for our NHR Esports Cranfield Simulation machine. Really happy to get first in the non-Adam Blocker division, which is nice. Yeah, it was a pretty good race. Had to save a little bit of fuel there at the end just to make sure we made it. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. You started making me just a touch nervous when I was seeing the gap between Graf and Larkamp start to kind of close in on you a little bit. How much fuel did you have to save there at the end?
Well, we looked out the number, and we were like right there, and we were talking like running out, 20 feet after the start finish line, and in case anything goofy happened, we wanted to have a little bit of a buffer there, so we saved a little bit. Just on those couple laps when it didn't really seem like it would be that advantageous to try to attack the lap cars and move forward there. And we had a 10-second gap to the car behind, so we figured let's save a little bit of fuel and make sure we make it to the end.
All right. Well, hey, Connor, great talking with you here tonight, and guess got one more chance to see what you can do and be an Auto Club next week.
Yep, we'll see everybody in Fontana, and have a great night, guys. Cheers.
Connor Harrington, your second place runner here for tonight. And next up, a well-deserved podium. And coming home with that well-deserved podium, Tyler Graf, basically probably a really great run out of Tyler here for tonight. And Richie's going to catch up with him.
Yeah, Tyler, you did a good job there. Started sixth, finished third. Wasn't easy though. Steven was coming up on you right there at the end, so I'm sure you're starting to see that.
Yeah, this was probably one of the hardest races all season, as far as road courses go, other than Belle Isle. I just kind of minded my own race and let other guys make mistakes, and I thought I was in I had about a 4.5 second cushion, and I was just going to sit there and ride because no one was going to catch Blocker or Harrington unless they made a mistake. And with about 5 to go, I see Larkamp in my mirrors. So I kind of had to hunker down a little bit more, but it was a good run and cool to do well in the race I sponsored too.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. Thank you for sponsoring this race with graphics there. And it seems like the last two races, the guys that sponsored the races with Big Joe winning last week and you finishing third, it's almost like a little bit of a good luck charm, it seems.
Yeah, it seems that way. I'm not as cool as Big Joe yet, so I can't win my own race. But hopefully next year I'll get there.
He kind of that worked out perfect for him last week. But man, you had a good race. We had some good camera shots with you, onboard camera shots with you running. And congratulations on that podium finish. And we look forward to seeing you next week at the last race of the year at Fontana.
Yeah, thank you. I'm hoping to finish the year out strong.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us here, Tyler. And hey, you know what? We ended up with 4 cars on the lead lap here for tonight, so we might as well talk to all 4 of them. And we'll bring in Stephen Larkamp into the booth for the last interview here for tonight. And Stephen, you were hard charging there at the end of that thing.
No doubt about that. Just wasn't quite enough to get by Tyler there. I mean, he drove really well in that one to just not make an error here. This track kind of ate up a lot of people, I found. But yeah, good, awesome night for NHR Esports in general. Connor second, me fourth. I'd say it's pretty good going into Auto Club.
Yeah, that's going to be a good points night for you, especially considering the fact that you guys were kind of in a fight there going all the way. I mean, you were coming into this thing 8th, but you had the chance to possibly get up to 5th or 6th here tonight based on everybody. We'll have to see how that shakes out when they release the team point standings. But you're right, good points night for you. And overall, though, I mean, why do you think a place like Laguna Seca, in your own opinion, why do you think it eats up so many guys?
Well, I think one aspect has to do with the runoffs because they're practically non-existent. You make an error, you find yourself in the gravel rather than a nice piece of asphalt. And the elephant in the room has got to be the corkscrew. That it's one of the most famous corners in North America for a reason, and it's really easy to lose it on the throttle going down there, and it's really easy to lose your bearings. So, and I'm guessing that was where a lot of issues were, but also turn 6, turn 5 a bit less so. I mean, I know I put a wheel off in turn 5 at one point early on in the going, and that certainly scared me for a moment. But yeah, it was it's one of those tracks where it's definitely where consistency and not really making any serious errors will get you a good result. And I think it's largely down to the fact that if you do make an error, you find yourself losing a lot of time, or at best, and spinning at worst. And it's the runoff areas and the nature of some of the corners, corkscrew especially.
Well, Stephen, thanks for joining us here tonight. Hey, depending on how things shake out, you very well might find yourself in third or fourth in the point standings and have yourself a great run going into Auto Club Speedway. So we'll see you next week.
It's going to be exciting. I can't wait, guys. Let's do it.
All right, so that was Stephen Larkamp, who finished 4th here for tonight. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. We got plenty of people here to thank for tonight. First up, First Medical Equipment. They've been the source for medical supplies and equipment in the Burlington, Iowa area for years because of their superior commitment to provide the absolute best in product quality and customer service.
Sim Experience, the team behind the AccuForce Pro V2 direct drive steering systems. By providing unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market, the AccuForce provides a significant advantage to any sim racer. It can also make for an effective training tool for real-world drivers. For more information on the entire Sim Experience ecosystems, including their GS5 seat, Stage Series motion systems, and Sim5 software, visit www.simexperience.com and use the promo code SIMXLION to get 5% off Sim5 software.
Butt Kicker products add instant immersion to any game. Unlike a subwoofer that moves air and loses accuracy and force, Butt Kicker products move actual mass, producing a haptic immersion that's powerful and accurate. Butt Kicker products add that missing driver-to-car connection, bringing more realism and immersion to your sessions. See all the family of products at thebuttkicker.com and use the promo code LION25 to get 25% off of your order.
To contact any of the sponsors you see on your screen right now, go to LionheartRacingSeries.com. Click on 2019 sponsors. Read or scroll to the bottom where you can click the company logo. The original music on every GSRC broadcast comes courtesy of June Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact her. On the screen now are just some of the companies, equipment, and software that made this broadcast possible. The Lionheart IndyCar series returns in 1 week for the finale, December 18th. Round 25 from Auto Club as we wrap up the 2019 season. GSRC and IESN will be there to bring you all the action, and we hope you join us.
On screen now are some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down in your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it all at www.globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel, Twitter at GSR Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Grant. While you're there, if you haven't done it yet, subscribe by simply hitting the button on this YouTube channel. Finally, on behalf of everybody who you've heard tonight, and everybody that's done work behind the scenes, Richie, Sean, Dougie, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Sean can finally go get some rest here for tonight. Congratulations to Adam Blocker on the win at the Grand Prix of Monterey, presented by Graphics. And with that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.